this is Rusty Cooley and welcome to Basic Training. Before we get started, let me give you a tuning note. Here's my 6-string open, which is E flat because my guitar's tuned on a half step. Alright, there you go. What we're going to be doing today is we're going to be breaking down alternate picking and legato into some smaller chunks or little fragments for analysis. When I put out my Art of Picking CD-ROM, like guitar players got it, and they asked me, well, you don't really talk about, picking technique in smaller forms or picking hand motion and stuff like that. And that ROM really wasn't meant to be for a guitar player that was learning how to alternate pick. It was meant more for somebody that already had the technique down and was ready for ways to take it further, take it to the next step. So upon many requests, that's what I'm doing in this one. We're going to be breaking down my right hand technique and breaking down my left hand technique, just kind of showing you the mechanics and the how-tos and things like that. So well, let's get started. First of all, I'd like to talk about the left hand first. And I'm just going to go over the basics, the basic of basics, what I talk about with students that have just started playing guitar. And here are some of the things that I think about. Number one, you always want to play on your fingertips. The only exception to that rule is going to be if you're doing some kind of bar chord or barring idea. And a bar means, well, simply playing more than one note with one finger. It could be 6, 7, or even 8 strings. So, again, the first thing you always want to think about is you want to play on your fingertips. Okay. The next thing you want to think about is that you want to keep each joint and each finger arched, and you want to try to keep a nice even spacing between all of your fingers, and you want to keep a nice bend in your wrist, or a slight bend in your wrist. In other words, you don't want to play with your palm touching the bottom of the neck. Matter of fact, the palm of your hand should never touch the bottom of the neck, unless you're playing some open position chords, or if you're doing some, there's some bending or vibrato. That's the only time the palm of your hand should ever touch the bottom of the neck. And the reason you can get away with it with open position chords is because when you're playing open position chords, all the notes are relatively close together, so you're not doing any kind of stretching or anything like that. So you can play with your hand in more of a relaxed manner than if you were playing, say, a bar chord, which requires more stretching, so you've got to get your hand in proper technique. Okay, so fingertips, nice spacing between your fingers, slight bend in the wrist, and one of the most important things is that you keep your thumb lined up with your middle 2 fingers. This is the center of balance in your hand. This is where you're going to get the most equal distribution of pressure to all 4 fingertips, and it's what's going to allow you to really expand and make some big stretching. So if you're doing something really crazy like 3 to 9, you definitely want to keep your thumb here in the center. That's what's going to allow you to make these reaches. Also, something else you want to think about: the wider the stretch you're doing, the closer you want to bring your thumb to the bottom or tip, whatever you want to call this side of the neck, high side of the fretboard, meaning in pitch. You could even bring your thumb all the way so that it's just riding up here, like if you're doing 1 to 7, something like that. So if you're doing some big old stretches, you might bring that thumb all the way up. Also, when you're sitting practicing, you might want to get a footstool, one of these classical footrests. These really help because what you can do is you can put your guitar on your left leg, and with the footrest, it brings your leg up a little bit higher, and it brings your guitar up a little bit higher too. And what that does is it takes away some of the pressure on your wrist, because if you're trying to play some of these stretches on your right leg, you really have to get down and all out of shape. And the way I view sitting with the guitar as far as right and left hand positioning is when you're sitting with the guitar comfortably, you should just raise your hands up. You shouldn't have to bend or contort and get all physically distorted to get your hands into the proper positioning for playing. Okay? And I think that covers most of the basics for just left hand positioning in general. Now as far as the right hand goes, obviously you hold the pick between your thumb and your first finger, but what a lot of guitar players don't realize is actually where you hold the pick. Most players naturally in the beginning gravitate towards the back of the pick, which this is not good, because A, the further you hold the tip towards the back, the less control you actually have of the pick, and B, when you're picking, you only want the tip of the pick to dig in the actual depth of the string, which that's next to nothing. So if you're holding the pick back here, you have less control of the pick, and you have less control of how much of the pick actually digs in. So to kill both of those issues, you want to hold the pick close to the tip, and that will help a lot, because you know, the further the pick digs in, the more problems you have. And playing fast is all about economy of motion, so you don't want to move very much at all. In other words, when you're picking, the pick should only move from one side of the string to the other. Very, very small movements. Okay, and picking should be a combination of a wrist and elbow, just depending on what's more comfortable for you. I do a little bit of both. Also, another thing you want to think about is when you're picking, you want to put the pick on a slight angle, and some players angle their pick slightly forward, and some players have a little bit of a reverse angle, so whatever's more comfortable for you, you should go with. So I slightly angle the pick forward, and the reason I do this is because it cuts through the string a little bit easier. There's not so much resistance, because when the pick attacks the string flat like that, well, you know, that's just, it's harder to get through there. With a slight angle, it cuts through the string. Don't over-exaggerate the angle, because then you're going to get a slicing noise when you pick, and you don't want that. So just a little bit of an angle helps cut through the string better, and that works pretty good. Also, another thing that I do with my picking is that when I'm picking really fast, my right hand moves back towards the bridge, and the reason that I do this is because the tension of the string is a lot tighter back here, which allows for more tight, focused picking. The closer you get to the neck, the looser the tension of the string gets, and it's real floppy and The flip side of picking really close to the bridge is you can't really palm mute the stuff, but if you've got, you know, when you get used to it and you get your technique together, you don't really need to mute so much in the sense of muting unwanted string noise. What you won't be able to do as much is actually get a muted sound from the note. Now, muting is a very serious subject that we should talk a little bit about as well, since we're here. Right and left hand muting. When I'm muting with my right hand, I'll mute with all three sides. This side, and this side, just depending on where I'm at. This way I've got all the strings covered at any given time. And no matter where I'm at, I can, you know, adjust my hand to mute. Now the way I also think about this is that the right hand mutes the lower strings, and the side of my index finger on my left hand mutes the higher strings. For example, if you're playing just a G major scale, the right hand is muting the strings that I'm just finishing playing, and the left hand is muting the strings that I haven't played yet. So if you look closely, it always looks like my index finger on my left hand is kind of doing a bar. And the reason it looks like that is because it's covering the upper strings. So together your hands work like this, going across the guitar, keeping all the string noise to a minimum. And the better you get at muting, you know, the cleaner your playing will be. Let's get ready to move on to some actual performance examples. Alright, we're going to start with alternate picking, and example 1 is an ascending triplet in A minor, and we're going to start on the 4th string, 7th fret, and it goes something like this. That is an ascending triplet, and the reason we're starting with single note stuff or single string stuff today is my theory is that if you can't pick fast on a single string, well, you're not going to be able to pick fast on multiple strings. So we're going to get some, I think there's 7 or 8 single string patterns here that we're going to get comfortable with and really get the right hand going on a single string. And you can take these single string exercises and play them on any one of the strings, and you can move them through different scales, different fingerings, patterns, etc. Over the entire length of the neck. And once you get these smaller fragments down, putting them into longer ideas makes a lot more sense because these are just the smallest components when you're alternate picking. So anyway, number 2 is a descending triplet. It's just the descending version of number 1 we just played. So here it is. All right, number 3. This is kind of like combining number 1 and 2 together, and by doing so it changes it from a 3 feel to more of a 4 feel, or 16th note, and it goes like this. Example number 4 is also a 4 or 16th note idea. It's kind of a classical sounding lick. If you're familiar with Yngwie Malmsteen, then you've probably heard this lick or idea a million times. And it's a good picking drill. There it is. That one's a little more difficult than the others. Example number 5, I believe, let's see if I'm reading it correctly, number 5 is 5s. And the cool thing about 5s is that every time you change or start over, you're starting on the opposite end of the 3 notes. For example, the first 5 notes start on the 4th string, 10th fret, and you go. So there's your 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And then when you cycle it over again, the next time you start on the opposite end of the 3 notes, which is the 7, now you play 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So every time you cycle or start the 5 over again, you're starting on the opposite end. So here it is. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. That's one of my favorites. Next is 6s, and it goes something like this. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. All right. On to example number 7, which, hey, number 7 is 7s. One of my favorites also. Love the odd groupings. Because they always land at different places over the beat. You know, it's not always falling on 1. It could be on the 1E hand or something like that. And 7s. Here we go. 1, 2, 7s. All right, and that concludes the section on single string alternate picking. If you can get those 7 sequences blasting, then you're ready to move on to example number 8. This one is just an ascending 6, and it goes like this. And now, since we're dealing with string changes, it's important to make sure that you're on top of your picking. So with this particular example, you're going to be starting with a down pick, and very importantly, the first note of the next string, or the G string in this example, it's going to be an up pick every time, so make sure you're on top of it. So down, up, down, up, down, up, down, up, down, up, down, up. Alright, number 9 is the descending version of 6s, starting on a down pick, and the string change will be on an up pick. Down, up, down, up, down, up. Alright, number 10. This, it's just 6 up, 4 back. So, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 1, 2, 3. Again, starting on a down pick, the string change will be on an up pick. So make sure you're always lined up with that. Alright, fun stuff, man. Okay, example number 11. This is 6s in 2 positions. So we're going to ascend, starting on the 7th fret. And then we're going to move up a position, pinky on 12, starting to descend. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So we're getting 2 positions. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Okay, and example number 12 is the opposite. We'll start in the upper position, ascend the 6, and then we'll move down a position and descend 6. Yeah. Example number 13. This just focuses in on a single string change. So we're just going to go up 1 note. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So again, start on a down pick, make sure that string change is on the up, and then you come back to the D string with the down pick. Good stuff, man. I think I initially learned that one from Paul Gilbert, and it's a great one. Alright, number 14. This one here kind of elaborates on 13 with multiple string changes. So what we're going to do is we're going to start by changing. We're going to go up 1. We're going to go up 2. We're going to go up 3. Now this one really focuses in on the big problem all guitar players have, and that's that string change. And so alright. And from the sounds of that, sounds like I need to work on it more too. Alright, example number 15. Now we're going to reverse it. We're going to start on the G string, descending down to 1 note on the D string and then back up. Now notice in the tab that I've got this one as starting on an up pick. However, one thing that I am going to mention is that it's very important to be able to start on any pick direction at any given time, because you never know where you're going to be at in a phrase or in a rhythm or in a solo or whatever. So one of the things that I highly suggest is that once you've gone through all of these alternate picking exercises starting on a down pick, except for that one, you go back through all of these and then practice them again starting on all up picks, okay? Because again, it's to be a 100% proficient alternate picker, you've got to be able to start on any pick direction at any given time in any passage. So that would be a great way to do it, and we'll talk more about practicing in a minute. So again, that was number 15, and you can do it starting on a down pick. And the reason that's a little bit tougher is because you're doing what's called inside picking. You start on a down pick and it's down, up, down, up, down, and then up on the D string, which is on the inside, and then back down to the 7 on the G string. So see, you're picking on the inside of the strings, so that's what makes it more difficult, inside picking versus outside picking. When you're starting these examples starting on a down pick, you're actually doing what's called outside picking, because you're going on from the outside to the outside. You start all this stuff on the up pick, you're doing inside picking, which is really pretty tough, man. All right, so again, number 16. What do we got here? This is that Yngwie pedal tone sounding example on 2 strings. So now we have. Okay, example number 17 is 6s. So here it is. Okay, number 18. This is 2-string 7s, and we're going to play up here in E Mixolydian. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 1. All right. Number 19 is 2-string 5s. Also a E Mixolydian. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Alright, example number 20. Now, this is kind of a pedal tone classical sounding line, again, kind of a la Bach or Yngwie Malmsteen, and we have 1 note on the D string, and we have 3 notes on the G string. We get a phrase that sounds like this. Pretty cool. But it's pretty challenging because you're doing 1 note on the D string, which is a down, and then up, down, up, and pretty cool. And the next example, number 21, flips that idea. We have 1 note on the G string, and then we have the 3 on the D string, so it's a reversal. Okay, and number 22 ties both ideas together into a really cool classical sounding phrase. And very challenging to pick at that speed as well. You can put this together into like an A minor idea, rock minor that is. pretty cool. I was just playing diatonically, and actually I was mixing up a natural minor and a harmonic minor there a little bit, just on the two middle strings. You can actually do that concept on any group of two strings linearly up and down the guitar neck, and you can actually combine those ideas into multiple string ideas as well. Example number 23, this is pretty cool. This kind of mixes it up a little bit as well. We're going to start, this is in G major. It goes like this. So instead of going to the 4 first, we're going to go to the 5. Down, up, down, back down. Now this time going to the 4. And we're going to mix it up with a single string change, or ones, because we have the 1. It's just kind of another way of practicing. You're mixing it up with the fingerings, actually. Okay, and that was number 23. Number 24 is a G major scale, 1 octave, with string skipping. What you're going to do is we're going to ascend one note at a time, starting on the 4th, and then go back down, 5th, 6th, 7th, octave. And that's pretty tough, doing that fast alternate picking with string skips. And especially because we're coming over here with a string skip, so index, middle, index, middle. And the really tough part is getting that ring finger under there. And although it's not tabbed out, with the descending part, you just simply go backwards, you know, one note at a time. Alright, and there is that one. That was number 24. And the last and final alternate picking example is in A harmonic minor in mode 5, E Phrygian dominant. And this one has string skipping as well, and at a slow tempo it goes like this. Kind of mix it up, and that's what I'm doing now once I've actually played the initial. Okay. And that's pretty cool too. You can just kind of mix it up a little bit. And that's kind of getting, you know, the last two examples is starting to, you know, tear it up a little bit. And I'm going to try to stay away from a whole lot of that in this, because you get plenty of that in my other CD-ROMs and DVDs, etc. The whole concept behind this is just more of the breakdown of the technique. So anyway, that concludes the alternate picking section of this. Now a little bit on practicing, which I want to come back to, or I am coming back to when we were talking about it earlier. What you want to do is get yourself a timer like this. You can get it at the, I don't know, grocery store, drugstore, wherever. And it's just a little cooking timer that you want to practice with. And you want to set it to 5 minutes. As you can see, if you can see that clear enough, mine's already set to 5. So when I'm practicing, if I were going to sit down and practice all these exercises, I would start with example number 1. I set it to 5 minutes, hit go, and I would do nothing but practice example number 1 for 5 minutes. You set this thing down and forget about it until it goes off. When it starts beeping, you hit the button and start on with example number 2. Now, during the 5 minutes, you're going to pick, you're going to watch your technique to make sure you're playing the proper, you're doing the proper thing with your right hand, your muting's in check, and your left hand, you're going by some of the guidelines that I set forth at the beginning of the instructional. So you're going to make sure you're hitting right with both hands, and during the 5 minutes, you're also going to practice the lick at varying speeds. You're going to practice it at your slow, medium, fast, as insanely fast as you can possibly play it. Don't try to play as fast as you can the whole 5 minutes, because you're going to burn out within, under a minute probably, or less than 30 seconds. The idea is that you're doing 5 minutes of non-stop repetition, okay? Because it's the repetitive motion that allows you to build up these techniques so that you can play them more subconsciously, so that you're not thinking about it. It's kind of like tying your shoe. When you tie your shoe, you've been doing it for so long that you can tie your shoe while you're talking to someone or watching TV or something like that. You just kind of do it. And that's how you want your technique to be. You want to be able to pick up the guitar and you just play. You're not thinking about, am I down picking, am I up picking, or is my left hand in the right position? You do it so much that it becomes subconscious. You pick it up and you go. You're doing the right techniques automatically. And through this type of practicing, this will get you to that level so that you can do it subconsciously. It's like riding a bike, man. When you get on a bike, you don't think about balancing anymore unless you're about to fall off, and then you readjust and come to terms with it. It's just like you're picking. If you start to screw up something, then you become aware of it. So you want it to be subconscious. So repetitive motion is the key. You've got to play this stuff every day. You build up your muscle memory. Hey, and that's telling me that I've got 2 minutes and 57 seconds to go on that lick. So anyway, I think that covers that, and let's move on to some legato. Alright, on to the next section. So hopefully after all that picking stuff, your left hand is reasonably awake. So we're going to be doing all legato now in this section. So starting with example number 26, we're going to be doing a open string trill. And it's going to use all 4 fingers over the same group of 2 notes the entire time. So we're going to start out with the index finger. And what I'm going to do with my right hand is I'm going to take my thumb and I'm going to mute strings 4, 5, 6, and 7. And I'm going to take the tips of my middle and ring fingers and I'm going to mute the B string and the E string. And I'll pick only the first note of this example with 1 down pick. And there you go, that was example number 26. And that just gets, you're building finger independence. You want all 4 fingers to be equal in strength, and this exercise will definitely help you get going in that direction, because each finger's got to be able to withstand the hammer-on and pull off with equal pressure and equal volume. Okay, example number 27, we're going to start some half-step trills. And if you're looking at the tab, you'll notice that to the right of the example, you'll see it say finger variations. And those are the 3 different variations we're going to practice with example number 27. So we'll start here with a half-step trill on the 3rd string, 5th and 6th frets. Okay, and then we're going to go to finger variation 2 and 3. for this example, I'm using the exact same technique I was using for the previous example. I'm going to be maintaining the muting with my right hand, covering strings 4, 5, 6, and 7, and the tips of my middle and ring finger on my right hand will be covering strings 1 and 2 as well. And it's pretty effective because it keeps everything quiet. All the string noise is down to a minimum, and this really, lets you capture the pitch of each one of these strings, or each one of these notes properly. And if you accidentally screw up by hitting one of the other strings, well, your right hand's got it covered. But your ultimate goal is to keep it so clean that you don't need the right hand. The right hand becomes more of a dampening device just to keep the other strings from vibrating, because they will. If you don't, even if you're 100% accurate with your left hand, your other strings will start to vibrate and cause string noise without you even hitting them. So you want to keep that covered as well. Okay, example number 28 is moving on to a whole step. So we'll start again with fingers 1 and 2, even though it's a whole step. We're going to move to fingers 2 and 3. 3 and 4. And then a more common 1 and 3. As far as practicing this stuff goes, you want to get out the timer and you want to use it in this section as well. And for the trilling stuff, you might not want to do 5 minutes. Maybe do 2 or 3 minute trills. I mean, if you're really friggin' gung-ho and you have the amount of time to spend that it would take going through every one of these examples at 5 minutes apiece, then go for it. If you have the time, by all means do it. But if you don't, I think it's pretty effective to practice your trills with 1 and 2 minute groupings. That way you can move along a little bit quicker. So, on to example number 29. This is now on the 2nd and 5th fret of the same string, and we're going to start with finger variations 1 and 4. And then finger variation 1 and 3. Is it's frets 2 and 6. It's a 2 whole steps or a major third, and fingers 1 and 4 to begin with. And 1 and 3. All right. On to example number 31. This is kind of putting things together. We're going from half step to whole step to whole step and a half to 2 whole step trills using all 4 fingers. So here it is. Alright, example number 32. Now we're going to start using open strings again with all 4 fingers. So here's a single string drill exercise. Something similar to what Randy Rhoads might have done. Okay, example number 33 just takes this same example and utilizes it on all 6 strings. So here we go. bit trickier because you have to take the same muting technique that I was using for the previous examples and then move it across all of your strings. So it becomes a moving mute or dampening device. And I'm using the same technique, so as I go from 6 to 5, I'm holding strings 2, 3, and 4 with my right hand fingertips, and I just move that across. So when I'm on the 6th string, I'm holding strings 3, 4, and 5. And then I move that to 2, 3, and 4 while I'm on the 5th string. And now I'm catching the 6th string with the palm or side of my right hand. I don't know if you can see that. Probably not, but you just you have to maintain that technique. So you just move across one string at a time using the tips of your right hand fingers to catch the upper strings that are not being played. Example number 34. These are some pull-off exercises with open strings, going in groups of, say, 3, 6, 9. I was putting some pick harmonics on there too, that sounds kind of cool. Alright, now, example number 35, same idea. This time we're working out fingers 1 and 3 in whole steps. Alright, number 36, same idea, index and pinky, whole step and a half. Alright, number 37, same concept, index and pinky, we're stretching a major third or 2 whole steps. So we're starting to really reach out there. Alright, on to number 38. This is an open string pull-off exercise in the key of G major, based on the G major scale, not one of its modes. And pretty cool lick, actually. It's not just a symmetrical finger exercise. Sounds like this. Pretty much we'll work on any string, as long as you use the open string as the root note. So if you want to play it in B major, you would play the same thing on B string, A major. Well, at the same time, I'm using the same exact muting technique, muting the lower strings with my thumb or padded side of the thumb there. and catching the upper strings with the remaining 3 fingers on my right hand. So example number 39. Let's see. Now we're going to get into some more of the multiple finger variations on some of these. This first example uses frets 5, 8, and 6. And we're going to start with finger variations 1, 4, 1, 2. So 5, hammer on the 8, pull up to 5, hammer 6, pull off to 5. Alright, now we're going to do the same thing with fingers 1, 3, 1, 2. Challenging, and even more challenging, fingers 2, 4, 1, 2, 1, 4. Sorry, I kept saying 1, meaning 2. Anyway, here we go. Alright, example number 40, 5, 8, 5, 7, 5, 8. So here's 1, 3, and 4. All right, now fingers 1, 3, and 2. And 2, 3, and 4. Wow, a little bit harder. All right, example number 41. 2 whole steps. Fingers 1, 4, and 2. And 1, 4, and 3. And 1, 2, and 3. And 2, 3, and 4. Example number 42. Using 5, 6, and 9, 1 finger variation. A harmonic minor based shape. And 43, also a harmonic minor based shape using fingers 1, 3, and 4, whole step and a half step shape. Alright, number 45 goes to more of a pentatonic based shape, 5, 10, and 8. Sorry, that was number 44. And number 45 now is 5, 10, and 7. Also a pentatonic based shape. Alright, now we're going to move on to some single string rolls with number 46. We're going to do frets 5, 6, and 8. And then it just descends, and we're going to start with fingers 1, 2, and 4. And then 1, 2, and 3. And 2, 3, and 4. 7, 8, we're going to start with whole step and a half, which is 1, 3, 4. And then 1, 2, and 3. And 2, 3, and 4. Example number 49, I'm sorry, 48. This is all whole steps, so whole step, and we'll start with 1, 2, and 4. And then 1, 3, and 4. One, 2, and 3. It's getting difficult. Yeah, that one sucks. And the really fun one is fingers 2, 3, and 4. Ouch. All right, on to example number 49. One finger variation. Woohoo! We're getting off light this time. Fingers 1, 2, and 4, harmonic minor sounding shape, frets 5, 6, and 9. Alright. Number 50. Wow. Another harmonic minor bass shape, fingers 1, 3, and 4, frets 5, 8, and 9, continuing the rolls. There. Okay, so example number 51, 5, 8, and 10. This is a pentatonic bass shape. And number 52, pentatonic also, 5, 7, and 10. Now, getting into example number 53, these are kind of just some string changing moves that you're going to encounter within different scales and patterns and whatnot. So we're going to start by doing just an ascending half step. Let's see. Or actually, you ascend 4 notes and then descend 3 and then repeat. So 1, 2, 3, 4, pull off 1, 2. Example number 54, whole steps, same exact idea. 55, whole step and a half. And number 56 is 2 whole steps or a major third shape. And actually on the last few examples that we've just gone over, you can actually do a bunch of other finger variations than what I've listed here. And I'm really trying to keep that kind of stuff to a minimum, just simply because I'm trying not to go all out full extreme. It's geared more toward the beginning, late, intermediate, kind of student. For more extreme stuff, you might want to check out the legato workout. All right, so moving on. Number 57. is the same idea, stretching it out a little bit further. Fingers 1 and 4 on frets 5 and 10. I mean, by all means, if you want, go ahead and start using all different kinds of other variations of your fingers if you're ready for that sort of thing. Just understand that's why I'm not trying to keep myself from going too crazy on all this stuff. Example number 58. We're going to turn this into some 3-note per string stuff. So we're going to get an ascending 6, legato 6, ascending. Number 59 is the reverse of that. It's a descending triplet, same kind of idea. And number 60 is we're going to ascend up 6 notes and then descend 4. So, okay, number 61, we're going to whole step, half step shape using fingers 1, 3, and 4, and it goes like this. And 62 reverses that. Also notice on this descend I only pick the first note. I don't pick the first note of the 6th string, so you can Alright, number 63 is the ascending descending version of this, so you go up 6 notes, hammering, Alright, 64, we're going to all whole steps, and when I'm doing this shape I like to use fingers 1, 2, and 4, but by all means if you feel more comfortable with fingers 1, 3, and 4, go right ahead. And again, you could practice these with as many different finger variations as you'd like. I'm just trying to keep some of that craziness to a minimum here today. 64. Descending on number 65. Alright, number 66 is our 6 up, down 4. 5, 6, 1, 2. Alright, that brings us up to number 67, which is frets 5, 6, and 9, harmonic minor style. Number 68, descending version. And 69, good number. Ascend, descend, up 6, down 4. Again, be sure to practice these on all groups of 2 strings, and at every fret you want to utilize the whole neck, because practicing it here is obviously a little bit different than practicing it, say, up here. You have to deal with stretching up here, and you have to deal with playing in a tight confined space up here. Also, with most guitars, dealing with the cutaway and the horn and all that kind of stuff. So you're going to be good at all positions of the fretboard. So up to example number 70. This is harmonic minor style shape as well. 5, 8, and 9, ascending 6. Here's example number 71, descending 6s, so 71. Number 72. Moving on into a pentatonic style shape, 5, 8, and 10. 74, descending. And number 75, ascending and descending. On to example number 76. This is also a pentatonic style shape. We're going to be doing an ascending 6. Okay, on to example number 77. Descending 6. And 78, ascending and descending. All right, and for the grand finale, we get a whopping G major string skipping lick that goes from 1 to 6 and back. More time. All right, and that does it, kiddies. Hope you've enjoyed the stuff. Again, this is just some serious technical developing ideas, trying to break it down into the smallest components, string changing, single string trills, open string, single finger independence. You know, you want all 4 fingers to be equal in strength. You don't want any weak link in the chain. The picking stuff, you know, if you can't alternate pick fast on a single string, you can't alternate pick fast on multiple strings. So you're breaking it down into its smallest components, and if you stick with it and work hard, the stuff will give you results. I guarantee it. But you got to practice your butts off, and that's the only cure. I get people asking me all the time, "What are the secrets to playing fast? How do I get fast? And what do you do?" And I hate saying it sometimes, but it's really boils down to one single word. It's practice, man. You have to practice, 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 and practice some more. You've got to, you know, you have to practice when you're sick. You have to practice when you don't feel like it. You have to practice when you don't have time. And then you have to practice some more. So live, eat, sleep, breathe, guitar. You know, practice till your fingers bleed, and then practice more. So that's it, guys. Thank you very much. You can check me out on the internet at rustycooley.com, or check out my band, Outworld, which is outworldband.com. Feel free to drop me an email anytime with any questions concerning any of this stuff, or just to say hello. So see you around. Thanks. Later. And there's the phone. Let's wait. Lovely. Anytime I'm shooting video stuff. There's that phone again. Hang on, dude. And there's the phone. We'll wait for that to stop. It's Jeff Lewis from Nevermore. The next one is example 16. It's very important to be able to hang on to your pick as well, or have plenty of them handy so when you drop them, you can recover quick, because it's all about economy of motion, being able to recover quick and fast. Okay, I think that was it.